What makes your heart sing? If somebody asked you that question right here, right now, what would your answer be? What makes your heart sing? I came across this question recently, and for me, it's a really simple question. What makes my heart sing is seeing young people thrive. Or to use their own words, seeing young people living their best lives. I spend a lot of time around people younger than me, mostly because they have an energy, an optimism, a drive, an enthusiasm that adulting has not yet taken away. But I realize that we have a crisis looming. There's a certain sense of sadness, a despair, almost an anxiety for them to find what I call their single purpose box. Sometime last year, I held a fitness vacation for a group of young women, and as we sat around the table, one of the very younger ones, the ones in their very early 20s, looked up and very flatly said, "I am struggling to find my purpose in life. I wake up, I go to the gym, and then the rest of my day goes by in a haze." As a certified fitness coach, that was heartbreaking for me to hear from somebody so young. So I have a question for you. Who in here knows what their purpose in life is? Who knows 100% what they were put on earth to do? And who in here is looking for their purpose? As a certified coach, I mentioned this. I believe that being healthy is not just about your physical health. Being healthy is your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, and sometimes your financial health. And so I feel there is such a pressure on all of us to find this one thing called purpose, this one reason for being, this one reason for existing, that we forget to live. So much work is being put into trying to teach us how to find this one reason that we're on this earth. To me, this is just another box. We are put in boxes from a very young age. We are told you can be the smart one, or the sporty one, or perhaps the musically gifted. Our careers are one lane: doctor, teacher, lawyer. The only deviations we're allowed are with a light dabbling in entrepreneurship every now and again, but even that is only in recent times. You'd think that we'd be tired of boxes as adults, but we continue to tolerate them. And this single purpose idea, this idea that you only have one thing that you were put on earth to do, is just another box. Some time back, I was in traffic with my husband, and a boy of about 10 years old was selling peanuts. He came up to the car, and we didn't buy. My husband went into his usual lamentations of how somebody so young should not be selling anything on the streets. I obviously empathized. But then I looked up and said, perhaps a little too casually, I did that as a child. I could see him failing to understand this, and he looked at me and he said, "Did what?" I sold sugarcane in the streets when I was a child. We've been married 13 years, and I've never seen him more shell-shocked. I was born in the small town of Samfya in rural Zambia, where my father worked as a teacher. Growing up, we moved through a series of small towns. I eventually started school in a government school, or what you'd call a public school. When I was in grade 5, fortunes somewhat changed, and my father found a job in a private school, and he did what any parent would do: immediately moved me to a private school. My new schoolmates knew that I was from the lesser than box of society, and they made sure to remind me every chance they got. Back to selling sugarcane at age 10. You see, when I moved to the private school, my aunt, my dad's sister, thought that she needed to do something to remind me of the box that I belonged to. And so she made me and my 11-year-old sister drag bunches of sugarcane down the road and to the corner where most of my friends would pass on the way home from school. We spent hours at that bus stop. Most days, we didn't sell a single sugarcane. To be fair, we couldn't have sold very much because most of the time I was trying to position my face just behind the sugarcane in case any of my fancy new schoolmates were passing by. And don't judge me, you know you do the same thing at that age. But no, we didn't make any money at all. But you see, my aunt's objective was never to make money. We didn't need to sell that sugarcane. And what's sad about the story I've just told is not that I sold sugarcane. What's sad about that story is that the objective was not money, but to put me in a box. I was poor. Poor children sold on the streets. And so I sold sugarcane. I could tell you more stories of the box that people have tried to put me in at different times in life. But there are many. And I am very sure you have some of your own. It doesn't matter what your background is, what your ethnicity is, your gender, your religion. At some point in your life, if you think about it, somebody has tried to put you into a box. I remember being turned away from a modeling contest because I was too skinny. Figure that. I always got in trouble with my mom's sister because a girl shouldn't read so much. The wife box. You will never find someone to marry you. When I went trekking in the Himalayan mountain range, the guy stamping my permit wrote American on it while holding my very green, very Zambian passport in his other hand. I made him take correction fluid and write Zambian on that permit. But deep down, I understood that the reason he did that was because his box labeled African did not belong there, standing in front of him, having the audacity to suggest going on a solo trek in the Himalayan mountain range. And so he put me in a box that he was comfortable with, American. And this is why I have a problem with us continuing to tolerate boxes as adults. It doesn't matter how pretty the box is, it's still a box. But there are a few things that I think you need to remember. While I say there are many different aspects to me, they are not separate. I am a mother to 2 wonderful children. I am a technology executive in a multinational spanning. I talk about technology to people in 50 different countries on 5 different continents. I am a fitness coach. I am a mentor. I am a traveler. I am an adventurer. I am a wife. I'm an entrepreneur. All these things are different aspects to me, but they're not separate. Each one feeds into the other one, and they stimulate each other to bring a richness to life. An earthquake happens in Nepal. I jump on a plane with my technology hat, and I go and help the local communities figure out how to innovate and bring normalcy as quickly as possible to the people in the rural communities. When I finish, the adventurer, the traveler, and the fitness enthusiast in me goes into the mountain range for a trek. I spend days alone walking in nature. I am fulfilled, I am content, I am happy. I come back a better wife and mother. I then share these stories with the young people that I mentor and hope that 1 or 2 or maybe 3 of them get inspired to kick down their own boxes, to break those boundaries that are holding them back from living their best lives. Whether real boxes or imaginary, whether self-imposed or externally inflicted. And so number one, they're different, but they're not separate. The second thing that I would like you to remember is that you need to surround yourself with positive energy. You need to have people that believe that you deserve to live this life that you want, where you can do so many different things. Find a way to shut out those voices that keep reminding you that you belong at that corner just selling sugarcane, or the voices that tell you that all you're good for is to be an accountant, or you're a musician, or you're a doctor, or you're a wife, you're only a lawyer. Go on and live your best life. I truly believe that we must not shy away from the paths that life presents us, because it is only in this way that we will live our best lives. If I had listened to my aunt, if I had continued to see myself as that child seated at that bus stop in Kitwe, would we be here today at TEDx having this conversation that we have? I want you to ask yourself one thing. When you are 70 years old and sitting by the fire, will you be looking back and wondering if you could have done more? Or will you be that old person smiling contentedly to yourself because you know that you have lived your best unboxed life? Thank you.